What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on into the Brass Ring Media podcast for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. It's the start of the football season week. I've got my Bears hat on because it's the only week that I can really be like an actual meathead Bears fan who's like, excited about the season because, it probably is going to go all downhill from Sunday, Tyler. But you got some experience with that as a Browns fan. What's going on, Tyler?
Yeah. Not even at that point with my Browns. But I have Ohio State, so I'm happy for that.
You do have Ohio State. That was one hell of a game on Saturday afternoon. Marty is in our chat already talking Dolphins. Let's go Dolphins, says Marty.
Yeah,
if you can't be meathead about your team now, you just say go Browns just because you never know what's going to happen, Tyler.
I mean, they've only ever hurt me and signed Deshaun Watson and it's like, I don't think I'd ever be able to pick another team, but they came back when I was 9. So that was like the first season back of the crappy Browns.
Okay.
35. They've won a playoff game. A playoff game. They beat the Steelers, which is great. Baker Mayfield, Chad Henne came in for the Chiefs in the divisional series, and he threw like a 14-yard pass on 4th down to beat us.
I actually remember that.
Yeah. So that's like the greatest moment of my entire life, Browns fandom, is like that stretch a couple of weeks.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't have that much more. I was 1 when the Bears won the Super Bowl, so I can't even really speak to that. But they've been back since.
Yeah, you've been to the Super Bowl. You've had, what's his name, smoking cigarettes on the sideline in the NFC Championship game.
Big color in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
Devin Hester, that was pretty fun.
Yeah. So it's pretty goddamn close, if I'm being honest with you. We're both pretty tortured.
Tortured.
It's rough. So it's just like as an adult, it's like you have to choose your battles. I kind of do that with I'm a Guardians fan, but they're not going anywhere this year, so I turn them off. And some fans are different, right? Some fans watch everything no matter what, and shout out to you if you do that. But I value my time and watch, opening segments that lead to tag team main events instead.
There's only so many hours in a day. Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's an exciting week, but we got you covered here. Maybe a little NFL talk here and there on the old Brass Ring Media podcast, but mainly, as you guys know, it's pro wrestling. Thanks to everybody who's joining us live in the chat. We got our gold member, Adam Kidd. Thank you, Adam, who says here, 4-13 Chicago Bears. That hurts. That stings. If that's the case, goodness gracious.
Yeah, sizably
terribly wrong.
I think 7.5 is their number. So, and Caleb Williams is not the answer.
Caleb Williams is not the answer, but Johnson, there's a lot that will need to be discussed negatively if they're 4-13. So, Adam, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for raining on my parade. You're a Lions fan, so you've had a really good couple years.
Does he have a Browns number? Because I'd say 2-15 is on the table.
Hey, but then maybe Arch Manning. Do you want him?
Yeah, he looks great. He looks great. Yeah, him, Kate Klubnik, you look great.
Goodness gracious!
Knowing the Browns, they'll draft one of those guys, and it'll be a poor man's Trevor Lawrence, which would be horrible. So,
yeah, you're right. You don't. No, I don't know. I mean, Trevor Lawrence might be good this year, but he plays for the Jaguars. It's hard to tell. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. We got Zach, who's in our super chats. More on that a little bit later. But Zach, thanks so much for the chat. Says football's back. The week 1 football pool is live in the Discord. So get your picks in. I'm looking at you, Tyler.
I'll do that tonight.
You can all out there in podcast land or YouTube land or Twitter X land. You can check us out on Discord by becoming a Brass Ring Media member, and you can participate in the football pool and make, and get access to all sorts of other great perks as well. It's patreon.com/Brass Ring Media is how you do that. We've got $4 tier where $4 gets you access to everything that we offer our members. That includes member-only shows once a week at least, pay-per-view and PLE reviews for AEW and WWE. We just recorded a few minutes ago. We just finished recording the Clash in Paris PLE review, so that will be up for our members here really, really soon. Access to the Discord community, like I mentioned, and a whole bunch of other perks. So check us out, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. We appreciate it. We thank you in advance. Want to thank our gold members, as I said, Adam Kidd and Sean Palikta. And we appreciate their extra support as gold members of Brass Ring Media. You are watching on the Brass Ring Media YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you wouldn't mind, hit like on this video so we can get into other people's feeds and more people can find us and talk a little pro wrestling. We're live with the Brass Ring Media podcast here 2 times a week, but we also have shows from Ashley, the Kick Ash podcast, on Saturday mornings. Nocturnal Knockout with Robert, which has become a pretty hot show for our audience. That's on Wednesdays. Last week it was on Thursday, but it will be on Wednesday this week. So for all of you in the chat asking about that E in particular, thanks so much for asking. And yeah, he'll be live tomorrow with a brand new episode of Nocturnal Knockout. All of those shows, anything that we do live on YouTube, can be heard as a regular podcast on our podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. So if that's Apple or Spotify or iHeart, wherever, we are there. And you can find us and take all of these shows with you wherever you go. So just search Brass Ring Media in your favorite podcast app, and we'll pop up. Subscribe, and if you wouldn't mind leaving us a 5-star review, that certainly would help us too. We get Zach the weekly update on what day it is today. Zach here says it's Happy National Blueberry Popsicle Day today. It's not just any popsicle day, but it's Blueberry Popsicle Day. Thank you, Zach. Glad you're here with us. Really appreciate it. I do have super chats open, so if you guys want to get in on the conversation with a super chat or bring up a topic or question that you want us to address on anything pro wrestling or really anything at all that's appropriate, definitely drop it in there and we'll make sure to get to it. Any contribution helps, so thank you. I just do have the live chat rolling, and we got plenty of people in there hanging out for the show tonight as well. And you can get your comments up that way too. The only guaranteed way to make it on the air is with a super chat, though. So thank you in advance for that. All right, let's talk a little pro wrestling, and let's start with this Becky Lynch involvement in the CM Punk Seth Rollins storyline. I am pretty high on this, and we talked a little bit about like the specifics of how the finish of the Clash in Paris main event went down. Becky comes in, low blows Punk, Seth wins, and you're kind of off to the races from there. As soon as that happened, you're thinking, okay, like AJ Lee's coming back, right? I think they made that abundantly clear. They had a sign planted in the audience for it. It seemed like it was all right there. So that's exactly where they wanted you to go. And we're going to get to AJ here in a minute, but I actually just like the idea of Seth and Becky right now as like just tormenting figures for CM Punk. Because I don't know where you're at on like the CM Punk and Seth Rollins feud in general, but I think it's been like one of the better things, in WWE the last couple years. When you figure the bloodline kind of ended, they had the Drew and Punk stuff that kind of was jolted into a spot because Punk got hurt, and then then they got to Seth a little bit later, but they've had a couple matches, a lot of interactions. They've screwed each other over. And I just think that they've done a nice job of like telling the story in chapters, but they got to a point where it's like, all right, it's time to blow this thing off. Like just get in the ring and wrestle a Hell in a Cell match or something, and let's do this. But while I think that that's true, this element of Becky being included now and AJ being included now, certainly, I think that gives the feud a fun added layer, like a new life, 2 more chapters maybe that you probably wouldn't have gotten out of this if you don't go this route. So I think there's a lot of benefits, but to me, that's the best one at this point. We'll talk specifics about Becky and Punk from Raw last night in a minute, but just talk about like high level Becky involving herself in this feud and where you think the Punk and Rollins feud is at in general.
Yeah, as someone who's like the president of the CM Punk disdain group international. I like this a lot. I like this a lot too. And I think it does give life to this. Because I was wondering, like, what is the end goal here? Not of, the mixed tag match, which is certainly part of it. Obviously, it's a Punk and Rollins blow off. Like, at what point on the calendar is that? You don't have to answer this. I'm just asking this out loud. Like, at what point in the calendar is this resolved? Because, like, and then I go to another thing where you go to the Seth, CM Punk of it all. And as you're talking, I'm like rolling through the Rolodex in my head of like, when Seth's retired, is Punk his best feud? Like, is that the feud you think of with Seth Rollins? Or is it him and Roman? Is it him and, like, am I missing anybody? Because when I think of Seth and like feud mates, I'm kind of drawing a blank, and I can like tell you matches and history of him. But so for someone who's like, I get the argument of like, oh my God, this has been going on for 2+ years now between these two. I think it's pretty warranted in the way they've laid out the story. And like CM Punk has, been champion for 7 minutes in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And Seth has ruined it along the way for him. Whatever he wanted to do, ruined him main eventing, almost prevented him from main eventing in the first place. Ruined him winning the Rumble. Was he in the match when he got injured in the Rumble? I can't remember. Obviously, yeah, I didn't. It was him and Drew, right? But so all of that is like, this is kind of like, if you're thinking like the innings analogy for the Bloodline, when we were like way past the due date on that we all thought, that's where it feels like we are here. It feels like we are post. This is like maybe Sammy getting involved level of like, okay, wow, we're really going to extend this to WrestleMania. And like, I think they can do it, but that's like it.
Yeah.
So like, for all that, I like it a lot. I like the ingenuity of like, yes, they're married, but like to have a male and a female character in a squad, not Judgment Day level, but like real main event level, is like what, DX?
Yeah, almost equals. Yeah.
Yeah, like truly like main event people in the main event doing main event things. And yes, they're benefiting Seth currently, but I think you could flip that on the head where Becky is the leader of this group and doing things for her benefit too, I think is pretty reasonable at some point too. So it like gives legs to that group as well in that front. So I am high on this. I liked it when it happened. It surprised me and it makes sense. And Becky's very good in this role of this type of heel. She's better than Seth at it.
Yeah.
And like Paul Heyman talking about Becky Lynch, I think has a lot of opportunity to be good television as well, to like boost her and be a Paul Heyman girl. It's fun for me.
I totally agree on that. Yeah, her and Paul Heyman will have a really fun dynamic, and yeah, I think Becky, and you saw it at Clash in Paris just a few days ago, right, or 2 days ago. Like when she's not up against like a strongish babyface opponent, she's got so much history and she's so likable. She can't really be like a real heel because no one buys it. The crowd's not reacting that way. It's hard. It's a tough putt for her to sink. But now that she's got Punk opposite her, and she's soon going to have AJ. More on her in a minute, opposite her. Like, I think she's going to get some of the best heel reactions that she's gotten in her career because that audience is not going to be split. Like, say what you want about CM Punk, but he's getting some of the bigger babyface reactions on Raw. Mm. And so I think it helps Becky get heat. And I think because Becky's getting heat, Seth, I think, is going to get more heat too. So I think he benefits greatly from, because, Becky's really good at being a professional wrestler, and she's a star. And she's kind of been, a centerpiece, and Seth really hasn't. Like, he's been like almost a centerpiece. And Becky's been there. He's been, true WrestleMania main event night, top billing, Ronda Rousey, like biggest star in the company. Like, she's been there. And so I think, being able to play off her and, use some of the heel heat that she's getting for leverage is going to help just Seth's perception as a world champion in general. So, I mean, I really think she helps this feud out a lot in that regard too.
Yeah. And it's good for like the breakup too of Braun Breaker, because he's now the third in that group instantly.
Yep.
And that can be some strife between all of them as well. Like, where you can see like Becky and him getting into it with Seth not present, all out of the bloodline. Obviously a lot of this is lifted from that, but if you're lifting from one of the best stories ever told in pro wrestling, and it's working, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain too much about that.
No, for sure not. We got some comments on this in the live chat here. Adam says, I thought the Becky and Punk stuff was good. Adam also says Seth and Roman need another chapter. And also for naming Seth feuds, Adam also says Seth and Cody, which I also think is a decent one to put up there. I'd also add Seth and Dean Ambrose to that back in the day. But it's not a big list. It's not like, I guess, I don't know how many people have like really big lists, but you think Seth, I think Roman just because of the Shield, Ambrose because of the Shield, and I didn't even really think of Cody. So I guess
that's a big moment with the torn bicep. It's more of like a proto feud for like everything, him and Punk are doing now, where you could like have your 3 matches, but you extend it beyond that in different creative ways. I feel like that was like the origin of like booking in that way for Apollo back.
Yep. Let's get into AJ, and Adam starts us off here with the question. Do we think AJ can still go? And Adam, that's the question. And Zach comments in here and says, that's the big question, Adam. It is. And so we've got teased with AJ Lee here. I venture to guess it's a certainty at this point. Fightful is reporting that they have a match planned for her at WrestlePalooza. So is Wrestling Observer. Like, to me at this point, they want it out that it's going to be AJ so that you tune in to hopefully see her. And that's where it should go at this point. I mean, I think I like the Becky involvement because it brings AJ back in a really meaningful way. Like, if I'm AJ, I can understand why you'd be like, oh man, like, all right, Royal Rumble and like, that's it. Or like Battle Royal appearance at Evolution and like, that's it. It's like, maybe I can find something that I can sink my teeth into a little bit more. And here, this is that for her, where if you're pitched this, you're kind of like, okay, I gotta come back. This is a perfect scenario. Number one, I get to do it at a high level in main events, but then also like I can go have singles matches with Becky if I want to. The pieces are on the board, so to speak, for her to really have a relatively special run here, but it's been 10 years. She hasn't been in the ring in 10 years. Like, there's going to be some ring rust there. She's not old by any stretch of the imagination. But what do you think? Is this a smart move to bring her back? And, what's your expectation for her as she's involved with the show at a pretty high level?
Yeah, I mean, just determines just think of it this way, right? Like, bringing her back, is the nostalgia pop first and foremost. So that's always a plus for WWE. For any
they
wrestling
want
company.
that. Yep.
Does it
She's
benefit?
38, by the way, according to Adam Kidd in the chat. Thanks,
Okay.
Adam.
Does it benefit CM Punk? Yes, as a babyface, certainly. Does it benefit Seth Rollins? Yes, because it gives him a better babyface to go against. Does it benefit Becky Lynch? Yes, for all the reasons you just laid out. So all of that is like a resounding yes, no problem. Like for me, is it a huge nostalgia pop? Not really. I never never thought she was bad. I thought AJ was like a totally fine professional wrestler. Who Paige was way better than. And like now, if we compared like Paige to her, like current industry, but here's the point: like, does it matter? Is this about the wrestling in the ring? No, this is about the story and all that stuff. Like, is she Nikki Bella level with a month of training to get back in there? I mean, I couldn't see how she couldn't be. Yeah. So she's probably going to be, she'd probably out wrestle Nikki Bella right now, if I had to guess. So it's all about spots, and it's a mixed tag match. You can do that tag without having to tag situation too, so it's easy to build. And I think Ronda's best match is that mixed tag with Stephanie and who was even her partner?
Kurt Angle.
Wow. What a
time! Boy, you look back at that, you're like, what a mistake that was.
That was like the best match on that card, if I can recall correctly.
That was a horrendous show. I was in the building for that show. Yeah, and it was just awful.
But you can build a lot of good stuff into that match, and then you slow play how you use her. She's she's a big time PLE wrestler, not somebody, and she's your whatever. But yeah, so it's all makes total sense. If I'm Tony Khan and I wanted to be like hilarious, I'd be like, what are they offering you? I'll double it and not use her. But I don't think she would do that. But man, like, and maybe you would want to do it for Punk to like bring income to that family, so to say. But that'd be very funny if he started doing stuff like that.
I'm with you on AJ though. Like, she's not going to have to be like, if she goes in there and has this tag team match and it's not great, okay, then that's it. That she comes back at a high level, she has her return match, and then that's it. Like, that's it. And they can protect her in a match like this. I mean, look, you've got Punk, you've got Seth, you've got Becky. Like, that's a pretty perfect scenario if you're AJ to come back and look really, really good. And you can bet that they're gonna make sure that she looks good. The question will be after this, like, how does she look, and can she have another singles run? I mean, 38. Like, Cody is what, 39 or 40? Like, he's top guy. So it's not like it's 50-year-old John Cena trying to get ready.
She's the same age as everybody.
She's the same age as everybody. Yeah, same age as everybody. And so, she can knock off the ring rust. And I think, you're going to see WWE like really retcon some stuff here with her. Like, she was a important WWE diva of the Divas era, just because I think she started or was a part of the changing narrative around women's wrestling in WWE. Paige, even Nikki Bella a little bit too. It was that crop of women, Natalya, Beth Phoenix, like, that kind of started to like just turn the page a little bit. But make no mistake, I mean, AJ was not, a world-renowned mat, technician, 5-star general, like when she was wrestling. She just wasn't that. Now, we don't know what she was because she never even had a chance to show anything else. But you got to assume Becky and Bayley and Roxanne and, all these, Rhea, like, yeah, they're going to run circles around her for a little while here. Can she catch up? That will be the question. But I certainly think that there's value in trying, and it's a no-brainer to try, if you ask me.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you think, am I right to assume that if it's not a one-off, and Fightful kind of reported today that it likely isn't being looked at as like a one-off thing for her? Do you think she can have good matches and feuds? I mean, like, if you line her up and you treat her as a returning star of Punk, like Punk, in terms of like he can face a lot of guys and it's going to be really fresh. AJ's got the same thing, you know, Becky and Rhea and Io and Bailey and Roxanne and Tiffany and Bianca. Like there's so many good matches that she could potentially have. I guess I'm answering my own question here, I suppose, but it's a matter of what she can do. But like, do you build the women's division around her if she shows that she can handle it?
Around her, no.
Because of the freshness. Let me rephrase. Because of that
Yeah.
the nature of like just how many like fresh matchups are there. If she's a hit with fans, like can you treat her as an upper echelon star of your women's division?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I think that's more than the in ring is like, what is her character removed from this equation? Is she going to come out skipping with like tube socks up to her knees and like, whatever? I'm trying to think of her ring attire.
Yeah,
Like
that's kind of what it is.
sort of like pop punk, like Avril Lavigne 2010 style. That's not going to work when you're almost 40, right?
Right.
For like a consistent thing, you can do it as like pops for like nostalgia. Like when she comes out for this match, I think that's the way to probably do the attire. But yeah, so I think that's more key. And like, how does the company portray her in that capacity? But yeah, certainly. I mean, all those people can work a match with somebody and make it a sustainable 15-minute story where it doesn't have to be the best work thing of all time, but you can tell a story and get there. So yeah, I think certainly can be an upper echelon thing. We'll see if what like Brock Lesnar is in the next 6 months, and like is like she in that capacity. Like Becky, like they're not going. Like Becky feels like she's in a different division even with this move compared to like Stephanie and Io and Rhea, Roxanne. They feel like they're in their own sort of like good workers going for real titles, and this is more like story driven characters. She's definitely in that story driven character division. So we'll see if they kind of intermix those two.
Yeah, it's well said. It's well said. And I think last question. I'll just get right to my notes here and we'll belabor that point. What does this do for CM Punk? Because when we saw babyface Seth and Becky all those years ago, they had the tag team match against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans in main event. Like it was so bad, and it was coming off of both their championship wins at WrestleMania 35, and it just totally extinguished. I don't know. I think it extinguished Becky's momentum, and Seth didn't have as much, but it certainly it threw cold water on his momentum too. I see this a little bit differently with Punk and AJ, and I don't really know why, but I don't know that it's going to be as now. Okay, it's not Vince booking it, so there's that. But outside of that, like the reality is, it could have a very similar effect, on CM Punk in terms of just kind of neutralizing the edginess, maybe, and just Punk not being able to like find that really Punk character. He's Phil the husband instead of CM Punk, the pipe bomb throwing superstar, as Michael Cole used to say. Like I think he could have an impact. I also think it could kind of humanize him a little bit too, which is where I see the upside for Punk, where you can actually, you tap into a CM Punk who's 47 or, and who's different. He's not the same 20-year-old Punk, Punk asshole guy. Like he's different. He's different. He's got a wife. He's married. He's happy. Like I think it has the opportunity to benefit him that way, but I don't know. I really don't know, because the proof is like history is not on his side when it comes to partnering up on TV with your real life partner.
Edge and Beth Phoenix.
Yeah. I mean, Adam Cole and Britt did it for like a little while. Like that was awful.
Like Matt Hardy and Reba.
Lita.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I'm just like it's.
Oh, and Reba. Yeah. Yes.
Current wife? Question mark. I haven't followed up on that drama. But Yeah, I mean, it's not gone well ever for like a prolonged period of time. And I don't know if this is like a thing that goes on beyond this, maybe like 6 months, right? It feels like the shelf life for this. Yeah, I think you have two options. Like I said, you humanize Punk and solidify him as the baby face for really this entire run, or you can go like super ballsy and use that as a vessel for him to turn heel because they lose, and
Yeah.
like he turns on his wife, which would be so epic
Oh
for
my
a character
God.
to turn on their wife. Not like even hit her, because obviously that's like even more layers of like men hitting women, right? But like I don't know, man. I think that would be like a pretty all time if you built to it. That if that's your end goal here, is like Punk turning heel because he like can't take it of like being screwed over left and right all the time, and he does it to AJ, or she turns heel on him. That's like there's lots of options there. So
Mhm.
all of them are pretty good. There's not one where I'm like, okay, well that's like safe, but at least it's effective. But like, there's some pretty ballsy things you can do here. I don't think they will, but yeah, I think it benefits both of them, and one will get more benefit from it. I think it's who they decide it to be, which will probably be Punk. But yeah, like you said, humanizing him is key for people like me, honestly. I think that's been my big issue with him is like the bootlicking,
Mhm.
like nature of him in his older age of like securing his, knowing he can't wrestle in 20 years, and if he needs money, he's screwed. Which is like totally, as you and I are not that much younger than him in the grand scheme of things. It's
Mhm.
something you think about of like, well, I love to tell my boss to go F off, but sometimes you need that paycheck. And like he's like to humanize him in that way would be like, yeah, well, maybe it was hard on him. I think that would be good for him.
And I think they kind of had to like. I think there's a version. There's like a Zach version out in the what do they call it in the Marvel universe? The something
The
verse,
multiverse.
the multiverse. There's a Zach out in the multiverse that would say, just don't cross paths. Like just bring AJ back and have Punk be there, and that's it. And like that's that. And I think that like 9 times out of 10, I think that's what I would recommend in this situation because it just doesn't work very often at all. Really, there's not a good example of it. I get maybe Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage, but that's 40 years ago at this point.
Yeah, such a different time.
In a totally right, in a totally different time, totally different era, and so it doesn't work. But yet with this, and because it's AJ, and because it's Punk, and because they've both been away for so long, I think it's really hard to bring her back and not address the connection that she has to Punk. I mean, they did it with Becky and Seth negatively at the beginning, but Becky's made allusions to her hot husband or whatever, in this heel role, and so they acknowledge it, and I think they kind of had to with Punk too.
Yeah, you just said it, so I had to
Get him up. Yeah, what do you guys think? Let's chat more about this as you go. Sean, who's our
I can't see the
over
chat for everyone, just like behind the curtain. Is
it's
anybody like
only
very
me.
against this in the
I've got
chat?
all the power. No, this is positive. A lot of
Okay.
positive here. Sean says, Sean, thank you for being a gold member. Sean says, I'm intrigued by AJ coming back, but I'm not sure she will be as good as she was 10 years ago. Going up against a great heel Becky will be a lot to ask. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. Sean also says here, I was very high on her at the time, but she hasn't cared about wrestling for a while. It's definitely been a bit. Hello to you, Maria. Thanks for joining us. I just think, I don't know, Sean. I think I have like the opposite opinion on that. Like, I think she may end up being better than you remember because she wasn't able to really do anything like when she left. Like her last big match was at WrestleMania 31. It was a tag team match, her and Paige against the Bellas. And like, I mean, that got almost no time on that show. And prior to that, she was the Divas champion, yes, but we know what that was. And so it's like, I think you may look back at this run and go, all right, well, either it's kind of like like Trish, when Trish came back, it's like, okay, Trish is a kind of a figure of her era, but she didn't wrestle all that much. Like she really didn't. She had moments of being in the Raw main event and all that's great, but she didn't get a chance to actually, wrestle all that much. She came back and proved that she could and had some pretty cool matches. And I think you saw more from Trish from an in-ring perspective now than you did back then. And I think you're going to get the same thing here with AJ Lee.
Yeah, it's a good comp. I didn't think of Trish, but yeah. And I was like, I don't want to be like too mean, but I would say like she wasn't as good as you remember her either.
Right.
But you kind of said that too. But yeah, it's just a different era too. So they, like you said, the training wheels were on big time. Match length, story quality, etc. Placement on the card. Just everything was a different time 15 years ago, 12 years ago, I guess.
Yeah. 12 years ago. I mean, a lot changed since then. And again, she was part of the era that kind of like opened the door a tad to like, maybe we should be doing more. Obviously they should have, but they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like women like Becky and Mercedes and like that era kicked that door down. But AJ was part of opening it up. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Sean says here the AJ Page feud at the time was really fun. Yeah, that was good. Mm-hmm. I mean, like what? I don't know. Again,
she's available.
She's available. They could run that back or run it as a tag team. And who knows? But I'm excited for this. I think it freshens up the Punk and Seth thing more than anything. And like that's the benefit of this more than anything else.
Yeah.
And then anything you get out of AJ is good. It's sugar on top.
Yeah, I mean it needs it. Like you can't go more than one match between those two at this point without it.
Right.
I still don't think they can have more than one match, like one-on-one between them, honestly.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think you've got one match left, one-on-one, and I would, do it big. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's at WrestleMania, but it's certainly for the title.
Yeah.
And it's got to be some kind of like cool stipulation, but this holds on that for a little bit. Read the chat here. I want to sure. Adam says here, yeah, WWE isn't letting that neck wrestle. Doc Samson cleared her, and I wouldn't let him treat my dogs. Well, there is that. Yes,
right.
Doesn't like we got to point that out that she was gone. I think because of her passion for wrestling, that's part of it. Mental health is part of it. She's been very open about that, but also she's got a serious neck injury, or she had a serious neck injury. So that is also part of her taking so much time away too.
And we're talking about Saraya, right?
No, AJ too.
Okay. My headphones died, so I was muted there for a second. So.
Oh, okay. No, AJ, well, and Saraya, they both have neck injury.
Yeah, I was just like, I saw Doc Samson getting crapped on, so I my heart grew 3 sizes this day.
Yes. Well, now that I reread Adam's comment, I think he was talking about Paige. So good call out. Yes, good call out. But yeah, this will be fun to watch. SmackDown is in Chicago on Friday, and Punk made a very heavy allusion to being at SmackDown, and I'd assume that AJ will be there with him because they're from here. Let's pivot this discussion to talk about Becky and Punk from Raw. What do you think of the two of them going at it, trading the verbal barbs in the ring, and how did it tee up AJ?
Yeah, better than if it was Punk and Seth going at it. To be honest with you, Becky's better in that role. She's just a better pro wrestler in general, anyway, right? Than Seth is. But so that like goes without saying, but she's proved it there. And I do like the like kind of flipping it. Like the verbal stuff was good, but the physical stuff, I like flipping that like dynamic on its head of like, yeah, you're going to do something about it. Like being a bully by like using that to your advantage. I mean, that's like a fine line to walk, but a heel would do that. And that's like an underutilized tactic in that space. So I found that pretty intriguing and like felt kind of real in like a not good feeling kind of way, but that's sometimes how you get the best emotion out of a story. So, walk a fine line with it. I think it's fine. yeah, I mean, it felt like two big stars interacting in a different way, which good Lord did this show need some changing of the formatting. So like all that helped it be like a passing show for me on what was otherwise like wish I had it on my phone in the background sort of show, to be honest with you.
I couldn't agree more, man. This needed it badly. And I thought Punk and Becky really delivered. Like I think Punk was able to, because like if you're CM Punk, maybe I don't know what he thinks like in real life, but like you don't want to, and you can't paint Becky as just Seth's wife, like in a segment like that. You have to be able to balance. Yeah, he's his wife, but she's also this crazy good, accomplished main eventer in her own right, and you have to like balance that out and then react to her as that and not the wife. And I think that like both Becky and Punk played that dynamic really well. It's like you knew it, but then it shifted back to just Becky being Becky. And then like they would allude to it and they would, talk about Becky being Seth's wife. And then they would, it would swing back. And I thought like the dance with that worked really well. And I mean, Seth, like essentially he called out, he's like, I don't want to like drill you down to just someone's wife because you're this and you're that and you're that and you're this and you're accomplished and all that. But I think it needed that. And yeah, I was also struck by the physicality too. I thought that was a good way to paint Becky as a really, kind of just obnoxious, bad heel, and it helped Seth. So the physicality I thought was really the cherry on top of everything they did.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We got a lot of people chiming in here on the chat. Jordan says here that Rhea section with Punk has to be a red herring. Absolutely. That was the exact thing I thought. I was like, they did that and it's smart. Do it so you can get a little bit more of a surprise out of it. But yeah, absolutely. Sean says here, Becky feels big time again. I would agree with that. I would agree with that too. Sean also says here, I thought it was really fun. That was the most invested Punk felt. You buying or selling that opinion, Tyler?
They invested in what, I guess?
Being
like,
back.
Him invested in the story. Like he actually like Phil is like getting down with this and like feel something in his bones about pro wrestling.
Yes.
No, I would say him main eventing WrestleMania would trump this.
Okay.
That's always been a goal of his. But yeah, it's probably right about there. And like him being in the Rumble and like him coming back at Survivor Series in Chicago, like sticking it to Tony Khan, AEW. But this is like, you need these every so often. So I think he was probably due for one of these to like reinvigorate himself. So not the most he's been bought in, but definitely a rebought in from post WrestleMania kind of doldrums, I think, of what his life has been from a booking perspective.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, they're definitely going to do something on SmackDown. So if you're interested in this angle, in this story, it's going to pick up on SmackDown
with the Chiefs and the Chargers. Good luck.
Oh God, yeah. There you go.
My parents
awful timing.
Walked them through how to like get YouTube on their TV. So that's how I know it's like I'm gonna do crazy numbers because they've never asked me for that. So
and it's Chiefs and who?
The Chargers.
Oof, yeah. So that's a pretty big,
and like Bill, I think
it's a big match too. I mean, or big match, big game. So yeah, they got some competition, but we'll see. AJ, what do you got? How many can you draw some eyeballs? We'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. All right, let's pivot to a little bit more on Raw, and then I actually pulled some kind of bigger, broader topics that I want to get to as we wrap up the show here. But you alluded to formulaic Raw, and man, like it's like. It's not even like it's like they don't even like delete if they're filling out boxes of like what to do. It's like they're not even deleting like the topics. It's like literally the exact same people. Like there's nothing wrong with a Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed versus Jey Uso LA Knight main event. Like in theory, on that show right now, those are top guys, and they're feuding. Makes sense. Except that that has been like, if you would have told me that's the main event for the last 5 Raws, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that tracks, because you've seen just different iterations of it. Braun Breaker versus Jay, Bronson against Jay, Bronson against against LA Knight, and Breaker against LA Knight. Punk has been in the mix. So it's just like it's so formulaic that it can't even stand out on its own, even when it's new guys, because it just looks and feels so damn similar, top to bottom. I can't be the only one that feels this way. I don't think that I am, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I certainly alluded to it on the Patreon review of Clash in Paris as being, just like you just set your watch to an opening promo. You got a tag team match against The Undertaker, main event, and The Undertaker is the Vision taking on somebody. Here's another thing too. Like we had the six-way tag, right? Or no, who did the Judgment Day take on?
Well, Balor took on Dragon Lee.
He'd be Dragon Lee, yeah. But then we had the 3-way of like the New Day. Whatever. All that is a mess. Like, why are at this point, if you're gonna do this consistently, at least have like the Bronze be tag team champions and like give something
right.
with that and all that stuff. Like, so it's like also just not caring about that and being like, hey, at least this is a tag team championship match, and I can at least get with that as being like a reason why the baby faces are doing this. As opposed to being like, well, we got our title shot screwed, not by these guys in particular, but even that story is like,
yeah,
man, what are we doing? So yeah, but certainly you have a promo, it involves the Vision, it's a main event with someone that they are one of 6 people, right? And that is Raw. And then the middle is a lot of Dragon Lee losing, a lot of Finn Balor talking and being kind of funny with JD McDonough. You have 2 women segments that are pretty good, and then some combination of New Day or Dominic Mysterio, and that's like your whole show every week. It's like insane that, like, I know if this is happening on Dynamite, like if it was like the same, if it was like, that's a problem with Dynamite, is that there's really no formula. The only formula is like a women's match at 9:20. But if it was just like, hey, here's a Hangman Page promo, and here's someone trying to like fight him, and it's a multi-person match with Hangman Page and MJF and 4 other people that intermix week in and week out. I mean, it would be the biggest thing in like wrestling punditry, talking about how like Tony Khan can't book a show and he just does the same thing over and over again. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page on that.
Yeah, we gotta be. I mean, it's fair. I mean, and I think like in this case, the fact that you've done like Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker tag matches against all those other top teams. So LA Knight and Punk, LA Knight and Jay and Punk, maybe. I'm assuming they've done that. Like Sammy and some guys. Like, to me, it hurts the Big Uso reunion, because it's like, it's not special. Like it's not that. It's that you've seen these guys roll through all these tag teams, and now the Usos are going to try, and it's it should be a big deal.
That's your main event next week.
Yeah, it's like, or yeah, maybe they put it on that WrestlePalooza show, but that doesn't matter. Like that's the answer. Like it doesn't matter when it is. It's just not if the payoff is supposed to be Jay reuniting with Jimmy, and they take on these guys. That's great, but it just doesn't stand out as much as you want to, because the show's so dang formulaic in that way. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's like still like, again, like it was acceptable to good last night.
Yeah.
But like it can be a lot more. And it feels like a lot of these shows are like, you can read the recap and like save yourself 2.5 hours of your life, which is what I don't want in pro wrestling. I don't want it to be Collision.
Yes.
I don't want it to be NXT or TNA or ROH or New Japan. For me, where I'm just like keeping up by reading what's happening and not watching any of it. Like I don't want it to feel like it's that, which it's not, because there's enough good stuff, but Yeah, it's just not where I want to be as a fan.
Yeah, you want to be able to invest in it. I totally get that. I mean, that's why like the Becky angle stands out so much because it's like, okay, I can get into that, and like there's not much around it, admittedly. So I mean, I guess they have that working for them, but it's just tough. It's really tough. We got Sean chiming in. You're saying, yeah, and they all have obvious winners to the matches. Yeah, I mean we've beat that point, ad nauseum on the show for weeks in terms of the finishes and outcomes of matches mattering. So that's an addition to this.
Yeah, that's always been the Triple H booking issue. If you watch NXT back in the day, the TV was almost entirely worthless.
Yeah.
Overs.
Right. Sean also says, I want both companies to make me invest, and they are both falling short as a whole. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. Adam says, lucky for me, I have no life, so the 87 hours of wrestling a week is fine. Oh, Adam. God, man. Come on.
You've got softball, man.
Yeah, come on, man. And the Lions are going to start soon, those damn Lions. All right. Let's pivot away from Raw for a minute here, and we'll finish up talking about some broader topics that we haven't gotten fully into yet. I want to talk about WrestlePalooza and the fact that yesterday, or Sunday, with Clash in Paris was the final PLE, main roster PLE for WWE on Peacock. They moved to ESPN for the September 20th WrestlePalooza event. Tyler, when you go back into the time machine and you go back to the day that you heard that WWE was scrapping all the PLEs from the WWE network and running them on Peacock, like, is that partnership here now that we're 5 years later, thereabouts, like, thumbs up, thumbs down? How impactful is this?
I was
that
I would say as a fan, it's been slightly a negative from my perspective.
Okay.
As my type of fan, your type of fan, everyone watching's type of fan. I was way more invested in the back catalog and history of pro wrestling, easily obtainable on the format that the network was. Having something that you're paying for specifically forced me as a consumer to consume more of that, whatever, 80s territorial catalog that I like. And now with Peacock, it's got Love Island and wrestling and The Office reruns and whatever, right? Poker Face is like the show. So it's like that's like a thing. It's like I'm not trying to find like ECW 1992,
right?
Not Extreme Championship. It's Eastern Championship.
Championship wrestling.
Yeah, So that's been a negative for me. I'd say it's probably a positive for WWE. They've always been more popular as like a business and an entity and like a brand, and probably for the top end wrestlers. It's been good for Cody Rhodes, it's been good for Roman Reigns, etc. It's been good for Triple H. It probably helped buoy them to merge with TKO or become TKO with UFC. So that's all, like, from a business perspective, like, it's hard to argue. It was a bad decision. But as like a fan, it is that thing where it's like, and this is like another step in that direction. Like, yeah, you get more eyeballs, but the product feels like a little less for you each day. I'm not like a Disney person. But I'm sure, like, if you went to Disney parks all the time, that's probably how you feel versus 10 years ago, that they're like and nickel and diming you every step of the way. And the magic's probably a little less there than it was because of all that. And that's kind of how I feel about this. But they'll certainly have more eyeballs, and they'll be, Stephen A. Smith, and they'll have Roman Reigns on College Game Day when Georgia Tech has a big game, whatever. Like, all that is happening. Like, where did Braun Breaker play college football?
I don't know, but yes, I get where you're going.
Like, he didn't go to Georgia. I know that. There'd be a bigger deal. But, all of that is important, but no offense to you, Zach, but I kind of hate marketing. Thing being marketed 24/7, and I find it exhausting, and it feels like a lot of that, and it feels like very soul crushing in general, like that market everything all the time, social media, etc. So I didn't know you were going to ask this. So
no. I mean, I think you hit a nail on the head. I mean, from a fan perspective, from like a diehard fan perspective,
Yeah.
I think like the whole like giving up the network, and kind of like peeling pieces off of it and shopping it around to different things, like that hurts because you're not going to get all of, like, you're not going to get whatever Netflix and Peacock and ESPN. Like, you're going to pick and choose, which means you're going to miss stuff at some point. And then you add into that the back catalog, which is one of the things I enjoyed most about the network, and you take that away, essentially, that hurts for like the diehard fan. But I think unquestionably, like the move to, like, because of like how technology went and because of how entertainment went and how people started consuming media and live entertainment in particular, like all that stuff became so much more valuable as pieces on its own and not one big whole honking thing. I mean, like, they used to sell these for, $50 a pop in WWE, and now they get paid up front billions just to run them on somebody's streaming platform. So it's crazy that it's a whole new avenue for them to make money, a different way for them to make money. So from that perspective, it's unquestionably like smart to do that and to sell it that way. And I also think that, like, to a casual viewer, it's a lot better, because if you were a viewer that would watch Raw maybe, but like wouldn't really like make it appointment viewing because you knew you weren't going to get WrestleMania, you knew you weren't going to get SummerSlam, you knew you weren't going to pay big money for these big pay-per-views, like, this allows you to invest without that problem, because you just have ESPN and you've got it. You've got Peacock, like whatever, so it's like, I think to that end, for fans that are, casual, like it could step up like their fandom because they have access to the major shows in a way that nobody ever has before. So that's another benefit. But I think you hit the nail on that. I mean, it's good in a lot of ways, and it's negative in a lot of ways. They're gonna put this WrestlePalooza show up though, Tyler, against All Out, head to head, main roster against main roster. Neither company has budged at this point on the start time for their respective pay-per-view. Kind of crazy to see WWE throw their weight around like this. Doesn't help the consumer for sure. And I think, if I'm Tony Khan, I think I'm moving All Out, but at the same time, I understand why you wouldn't want to move it if you're him. And so what do you think about them making their debut on ESPN, brand new event, brand new platform, big matches, and putting that just smack dab right up against All Out?
Yeah, I mean, it's business, right? Lots of sporting companies, the NFL did that to the NBA on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day, yeah.
Lunch on that, and it's one of those things of like, well, the NBA didn't back down, and that's kind of like a pride thing. And I think that's what you got to do if you're Tony Khan. Mm-hmm. And like, what is the through line there? I mean, what are you going to do? You're probably going to do what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to have All Out on my TV because I paid for it, and then I'll have WWE on my phone.
Yeah.
And then like if something is, I know there's going to be an hour and 20 minutes of commercial breaks for the WWE and video packages and stuff like that, where I can probably focus on AEW, mm-hmm. and the correlation of that is probably not too bad. So I think that, how many people are buying, and we haven't done the business pod for a long time here. How many people are buying AEW pay-per-views? Like, I know when I buy it on YouTube, there's like 5,000 people watching, and that's like a big stream. I mean, we're at like 30,000 people buying these pay-per-views.
So, well, no, I think like all in this year was like over 150,000.
Yeah, okay, well, that's pretty good. So like, let's say that's the baseline number. Is that for All Out? You're going to go for like 120 as a goal as a company?
I think north of 100 would be.
Yeah, it might be 90. I don't think it's going to be 50 then, right? Personally, now we'll see. I think if you're Tony, like you have endless money and you don't want to lose money as a business, but like there's probably a break-even number where you can live with it and just to see what happens. And if you can compete, that's more feather in your cap than for WWE. So like, I don't think anybody's wrong for not backing down because like AEW had the spot initially. WWE came in because they can. So just run them at the same time and see what happens. Like, I don't care as a consumer as much as some maybe, but I don't think like unless this is like a normal thing, then it's like stupid why we're doing this. Then it's like a pissing contest,
Right.
opposed to like anything else. But if it's a 1-off or a 2-off, whatever, I'll be more annoyed by WWE if they keep adding random shows to compete with AEW than I am currently annoyed with them. Or vice versa, if Tony started adding, free shows on TNT during WrestleMania, I'd be like, well, that's stupid. Why are you doing that?
Right.
So it's the same concept for me at this point. So, but we'll see. I reserve the right to change my opinion on this entirely. So,
I think Adam brings up a good point here, and I think this is like the crux of the issue. If you're Tony Khan, which is I can't speak for everyone, but I'm not going to pay for Edge and Christian's reunion tour when I can watch WWE for nothing.
Well, let's be fair. Adam wasn't going to pay for that show anyway.
He probably wasn't. But the point here is like a lot of people are just going to get WrestlePalooza, and so it's like if it's that or spend $50. I mean, for a lot of people, that's a big ask. It's a really big ask, and so that's why you don't do it on the same day because maybe if people don't have to make that choice, they are like, all right, fine, I'll spend $50 on all.
I mean, I'll admit if I'm wrong here. I just think people buying AEW pay-per-views also keep up at least with WWE because it's like easily obtainable. I don't know. I don't think it's more than 20% decrease on what they would do if they're running concurrently. Again, I could be very wrong about that, but I think the type of person that is buying AEW pay-per-views is probably a more AEW focused person in general, and they would watch WrestlePalooza the next day or do the double screen thing as opposed to skipping it. That's the difference between like
good point.
The 30,000 people that buy additional for All In is like someone like Adam, I would say. But let me know.
No, that's a good point because I mean, you could definitely argue the other way where it's like, okay, you have ESPN all the time, so if you want to watch WrestlePalooza on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, you can, and it's really easy. It's not as easy to do with the AEW show.
To watch a mixed tag match that is fun, but like inconsequential too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, AEW is going to want to announce a card for All Out. I think that'd be good.
That'd be, this is not the Thursday show, but yeah, that'd be my reasoning to Tony here to fight this is to have something on the books, but we'll see.
Put something on the card. We got a lot of people saying that. Sean says here they haven't promoted anything for All Out, which is good either. Yeah, I mean they gotta. If you're gonna fight and put something on that's worthwhile. It's tough. It's gonna be tough going against Cena and
3 Dynamites.
Brock. Yeah, they got 3 Dynamites, and so we'll see what they do. But yeah, they're coming out swinging on this for sure. Interesting. Yeah. All right, guys, we'll wrap up the show there. Thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Check out our membership options over on Patreon. Patreon.com/BrassRingMedia is how you do that. That's how you find us. We got it's a $4 tier, $4 a month. That's it. $1 a week gets you everything that we offer. All the perks and benefits are there on Patreon right now. Patreon.com/BrassRingMedia. Once again, thank you to our gold member, Sean Palikta, who says, always fun, guys. Let me get this right. Always fun, guys. Become a member. Exclamation point. Thank you, Sean. And of course, Adam Kidd, who also says, everyone join. Adam, thank you so much for being a gold member. Appreciate you all. We'll catch you on Thursday or later this week. We're not sure what exact day we're going to hit yet, but we'll let you know. Keep it locked to the Brasher Media socials, and we'll let you know exactly when we'll have our second show of the week. But we'll be here tomorrow. Robert Vallejos, Nocturnal Knockout. Don't know the topic yet, but that is a really fun show that people have really told me is top notch and on their must watch and must listen to list of the week. So don't miss it right here on Brass Ring Media on YouTube. For that guy Tyler, I'm Zach, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.